very serious day in heavyweight boxing with the fight between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte called off. I just wonder, Spencer, before we get into potential opponents, Isaac Chamberlain, one of Dillian Whyte's former sparring partners, has arrived in the studio. He'll be with us in a minute. I just wonder, before we go to the potential opponents for Anthony Joshua next week, whether it's once bitten, twice shy for Eddie Hearn here, where because of the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank situation last October, that he said, no, test, no, we're not carrying on, we're not looking at this. So Dillian Whyte has maybe not had his chance to mount a defence over the next few days before they made a decision on it.
Well, yeah, I think that in the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank situation, Eddie said contractually he couldn't cancel the fight. And in this one, he has.
We all questioned that. Simon Jordan questioned that at the time. We all questioned it in a sit-down with Eddie and said, how can you do that?
Yeah.
It's nonsense that there isn't a clause in every contract.
Yeah,
because
sure.
anything can happen, frankly. But I suspect that it's a case of once bitten, twice shy here, and they wanted to move straight away because he doesn't want to be caught in the same situation. Maybe this is the beginning of a need for an overhaul within boxing.
Absolutely. So, you know, they've obviously found out this situation has arose. And they've had to deal with it and deal with it quickly so that they didn't end up in a situation like they did last time with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank, where they would have lost a hell of a lot of money on the promotion. The fight fell through at the final hour, at the 11th hour. This time, they've recognised the problem. Anthony Joshua and has put in all that work. The show still wants to go. The show still must go ahead, and hopefully they can find an opponent. So it's good that they've dealt with it in the manner that they have, and they might be able to save the show.
It's fascinating now. We will go over Dillian Whyte's history with in the heavyweight division, but also the problems he's had, as I mentioned at the top. He was exonerated in 2019. He'd taken an over-the-counter supplement that he admitted to and was banned or suspended for 2 years in 2012, 2014. It's a really tough call for him now, isn't it? And what he does here to get back into it. We'll get into detail with that with Isaac Chamberlain shortly. But he's in a very difficult spot right now, isn't he?
Absolutely. Listen, look, if he can't now prove his innocence on this one, Dillian Whyte, I'm going to say, Gareth, career is over. And that's where he's at right now. He's in the twilight of his career now. He's a long and good career, successful career. He's earned good money. But there were still big fights out there for him. And unless he can prove his innocence on this one, because we don't know the ins and outs on it. We don't know the details behind this at the moment, so we've got to be very careful the way that we're talking about this. All we know, there's been an adverse finding and that the fight is not going ahead and Dillian Whyte has failed the VADA test. We don't know what that is, so it's difficult for us to comment on it. That's why I'm sort of skimming over it. But if it turns out to be not good, which doesn't look good at the moment, then it's possibly career over for Dillian Whyte.